Okay, good evening, everyone. So, welcome to this session. So, this is the introductory session, wherein I'm going to talk about one is what all this program will entail, right? So, we are embarking on a long journey. So, many of you who would get calls from multiple colleges. So, the interview season starts, let's say, toward the end of Jan, um, with SP Jain being the first of the block. So SP Jain IMR start calling the people for interviews toward the end of Jan and in the beginning of Feb. Right, most of the again it depends upon the location. They maybe they come to Delhi first and then they go around. So if you are in Bangalore or somewhere, then maybe a little later, but generally they start in the last week of January. Uh, for NMIMS and Snap, they have this season. So NMIMS usually used to finish off by 10th of Feb, but 10th of Feb. But last year they went on because they had called a lot many people till 20th or even later. Symbiosis does it again somewhere around Feb 5th to Feb 20th generally and winds it up. So, whereas the IIMs, so the top IIMs, they start calling people from second week of Feb, kind of first or second week of Feb, because Jan, I don't think they call. They give the calls in Jan first week or second week, but they ask for people to come to interviews by the beginning of Feb and all. But then Feb is the busiest season. March also till 15th, 20th of March, and then it starts tapering down. But last year we had many IIMs, even Lucknow and Indore, and uh, they went on till kind of mid of April. FMS is the last one, which kind of is the closing season, right? It announces this session close. It does it in the second to third week of Feb. So by that time, most of the colleges are done. So it's a long process. Our association will be very long, right? Should you choose to go with us. Uh, uh, so we will have to work very close, hand in hand, for a very long time, and it'll need a lot of stamina and a lot of perseverance, right? There'll be ups and downs, but then if you follow the process, if you do things the right way, then I'm sure that you will come up trumps towards the end of this season, right? Um, so the idea of this session is basically to introduce what all we will be doing, and then we'll take a look at some personal interview basics, right? What all, um, and also I would like to give you my view on what you should be doing. So let's say there are three phases, right? There are three phases. First is what the phase that we are in, which is a phase of a little bit of uncertainty. More so this year. It was not the case last year because people had a much clearer idea of their percentiles, the paper being what it was. Whereas this year, there's a lot of ambiguity. And even though you would have seen your percentiles, but still people are, again, different views. But then it's not over till it's over. So you can kind of you will have to be in that uncertain zone till I guess 19th, 20th, because that's when usually if over the last few years on 19th or 20th they announce the percentiles, right? So maybe by next week you'll have more clarity. So this is the first phase, I would say. Second phase is when you have a clarity, you get your percentiles, and from various tools or from your own understanding, you can figure out what kind of calls you are likely to get, right? Again, may not be 100%, but to some extent you will have an idea. And then comes the third phase, which is the phase beyond that, because many of us who were not able to do that well, or even if we were able to do well in CAT, are pinning our hopes on that because that will provide an additional backup, so to say, or not just backup, but I mean, it's not cannot be treated as a backup. It's a wrong word, but it gives you kind of wider options to choose from, right? So many people will be kind of preparing for ZAD intensely, and maybe GDPIWAT as a kind of secondary thing. But then people who get great calls, expect great calls, should kind of start focusing more on interview process rather than, okay, that is fine. I mean, that you have to anyway do a good job at it. But That's what it is. So that will be the third phase, right? So we will so these three phases, first phase what we can do, second phase what we should do, and then third phase anyway is when we go all out, right? That will be starting from that when it is over. Okay, so now let's see. I want this session also to be pretty interactive. Like I don't want to be speaking, kind of like a monologue. So please raise your hand. You want to talk about anything? You want to discuss anything? Have a point, comment, or you want me to clarify something more? So please feel free. Right, this is not a monologue by any means. So looking at the selection process, right, there are various components depending upon the institutes that you're targeting. Different institutes have got different processes, right? Most of the top IIMs, so let's say A, B, and C, uh, these have got PI and VAT, right? Or AWT as Ahmedabad calls it. The rest of them call VAT, right? So that's a written thing. They don't have GD or they don't have extempore or anything. Whereas let's say a college like FMS has got extempore, right? So they take a personal interview and then they take an extempore. So that's their process, right? So each college, so let's say you go to NMIML, they have got their own set of things. They will give you a Watson Glaser test, at least till for the last 2 years, they've been doing so. Uh, you go to Symbiosis, where they'll give you a group exercise instead of a group discussion, right? In some cases, they give a case study also. So different components are there in the selection process, right? We are trying to just capture these. Personal interview is obviously the common thing, right? No one will take you in without a personal interview. Um, okay, NMIMS last year started an AI personal interview. So their interview was AI interview, right? That's the exception. Rest of all were the usual ones, right? Then you have a VAT, which is written ability test or analytical writing test, as IIM Ahmedabad calls it. A little bit different, but we'll get into it. Group discussion, right? There are certain institutes, XLRI being one, where group discussion takes place, MDI being another where group discussion takes place. And likewise, there are different institutes where they have group discussions also, right? Some places have group discussion as well as that, and some places just have a group discussion, right? So, okay, there's a query. How does SPJ IMR take this up? SPJ IMR has got a group interview. Okay, they don't have a one-to-one interview. They have a group interview. We'll talk about that. That's a unique thing about them. And they have a VAT. So they ask you to write a small essay, right? VAT is basically an essay. So that's their process. They don't ask you to get into any group discussion or anything because their interview itself is a group interview, right? They've got six people who sit and then they are interviewed, right? And then there are two rounds to it. So we will talk about that. Uh, Group discussion, then you have extempore. Like I said, many institutes, even the lesser IIMs, they've got extempore. So somebody like Rohtak or something. Then you've got FMS, like I said. So many colleges have extempore, which is 1 minute to 2 minute. Shillong has a very unique format in this. They give idioms, right? So they will give you an idiom, um, could be anything, right? Dime a dozen, let's say, uh, or apple doesn't fall far away from the tree. So this is an idiom, right? So you are supposed to give a 1.5 minute extempore on it. Many times people are not aware of the meaning of those words, right? So they can kind of resort to taking some literary meaning out of it and giving whatever they want. So you can't ask that I don't know the meaning of this idiom, so please explain. So in our course, we try to cover quite a few idioms which have been asked in the past, but obviously, again, this is something which is an unending thing. So okay, we can do our best effort, right? So not to sweat. Group exercise, right? So Symbiosis has got a unique group exercise. They don't call it a group discussion. They will give you, maybe that can be in the form of a case or a caselet, or it could be in the form of some other problem. And then people are supposed to then give their own views on it first, right? So, and then there will be a discussion. There'll be so your team, you will discuss on this and present, right? So you first individually give your views and then you get together as a group, work out some solution, and then you present that solution, right? So that's a kind of a group exercise that is there in Symbiosis. Symbiosis, again, if you look at different institutes, most of them after COVID, they have now gone back to the offline interview mode during COVID, and a year after that, quite a few were doing online, but now most of them do offline, except of course Symbiosis, which is, and then there are some more who do online. Of course, there are CAP interviews. There are some colleges they do online. So still, there are colleges which do online, and then obviously there are colleges that do offline. Case study could be there. Watson Glaser test is a basically test of critical reasoning, which is unique to NMIMS. Okay, so these are broadly, you can say, the components that are there as a part of this process, and we will be covering each of these to great detail as we go along. Okay. Any question in this so far, whatever I've been talking? You have any questions or thoughts? I'm sure some of you have already gone through this process in the previous years, and then and you know what it is. Maybe you can add some value by way of your experience. That will also help people here who are maybe doing it for the first time. So obviously we all learn from each other. It's a community. So feel free to give your views. Next up is basically what will this program deliver, right? So this GDPIWAT program, which we will run for almost 4 months. I mean, of course, not actively for 4 months, but maybe 3.5 months actively, and then on a case-to-case basis. So it's not that once we stop this by the end of March, there's no support. In fact, we do mocks or even one-to-one discussions, even till the last last interview, which is FMS, right? So almost 4 months, right? So it's an association that will last us almost 4 months. It's a pretty long time, right? Uh, what all we will cover? So we will cover basics in each area, like what we are doing for PI today. Okay, now this is the introductory. I'm sure, I mean, we don't have that many people here. Obviously, many more will join as we go along because they're not very sure. So many people will join, or so we will maybe do another one like this. Then basics of GD, right? So we will discuss what exactly, because many times we are not clear on what group discussion is, though we may have even participated in many group discussions, but we do not really know how to be more effective, what all actually they are looking for, and how should we present ourselves, right? And what all should we be mindful of, how we will be assessed, right? So all those things, and then VAT. So we will talk about how to write a good essay, and then each day, or not each day, maybe 5 days a week, kind of, I'll give you topics to write. You can write. You can send me for evaluation. So all that also will be covered. Guidance in preparing answers to commonly asked questions. So see, now things are becoming more and more, I would say, complicated in a way, or more intense in another way. Earlier, things were a little simple. Each college was not acting on its own. You had these top colleges, you had this CAP colleges, you had this SAP colleges, and then they never asked you to fill their forms separately. But then, as we know that as we are going, into, I mean, as we are progressing, what we are seeing is that each IIM is now flexing its own muscles. I mean, these smaller ones also. And so let's say Isaac invites applications separately, Amritsar invites applications separately for the last couple of years. Rohtak had earlier broken out of this thing and started inviting applications separately. So now more and more colleges, in fact, this year also some more have been added to that list. Raipur, for that matter, last year it got added. So many colleges are now wanting you to fill the forms separately, which means additional work, because each form will have some questions. Okay, there'll be surely some questions, one question or the other, right? Either could be an SOP, it could be an essay, it could be questions on your maybe work experience, your achievements, your academic achievements, your extracurriculars, your personality traits, right? Your goals, your ambitions, or why do you want to do MBA? Why do you want to do it from that institute itself, right? So all these are questions which will need some bit of thought and writing down, right? So the guidance for all of this, SOP again is a part of this. Then we will be doing a lot of DD and extep code practice in our sessions. This will obviously, we will intensify this after ZAT is over, because then we'll have more number of sessions, right? So till that, we intend to do 3 sessions, which will be more of the online sessions like this, wherein we may not Okay, we will have a few. Okay, we will have a few. It's not that we won't have any, but we will have more frequently once that is over and more people are on board, because then it will make more sense to have many groups and many discussions, right? So we will have group discussions. So you'll be given topics, and there'll be days in which I'll give you topics in advance where you need to read up things, you need to prepare, and then we will do some discussions, and then there'll be some because see, group discussions topic could be knowledge-based topic, or it could be something of an abstract topic, right? So there are different kinds of topics in group discussion. Uh, Knowledge-based is something, let's say, talk about economy, or you talk about geopolitics, or you talk about anything which is happening all around, right? Why Trump is what he is, why gold prices are hitting the roof, why silver has jumped to almost this level 3 times in the last 1 year. So all those are knowledge-based things which you will need to maybe read up also. And then there'll be some abstract, like I said, given you and give you an idiom, right? So on that you have to spontaneously think of something and say. Extempore, again, same thing. Extempore would be also knowledge based, or it could be uh, something of an abstract thing, right? So we will have a good amount of practice here. Uh, Current affairs, this is a huge part of our course, because uh, I mean, ultimately, you need to be able to connect uh, everything, right? Whether it is uh, politics, why Trump is behaving the way he is behaving, why he's imposing such tariffs, what does he expect to achieve, why is India is basically not in his, let's say, uh, you would say India is not his favorite for the past 6 months, why he's cozying up with Pakistan, right? And all of those things. So whether it is politics, whether it is geopolitics, or it is economics, what happens, what I've seen generally is that many students, okay, from my experience, I can say that they say, why should we understand politics, right? How does it really matter? And why should we know that? Why are we asked? Okay, see, current affairs के साथ साथ एक और चीज होती है, which is static general knowledge. Right? Static general knowledge is something which doesn't change, right? You should know how many seats are there in Rajya Sabha, right? How many members are nominated, right? Out of those, what is the procedure for electing the candidates, or rather selection of candidates for Rajya Sabha, right? What is the number of seats of Lok Sabha? Uh, so what is so these are basically your static DK questions, right? Somebody might ask, यार हमें उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? But then it makes a difference, right? Everything is connected to everything else, and as a manager का काम basically is a generalist, right? If you are a CEO of an organization, you can't say that I've been basically trained into developing software or managing this thing, or maintaining, let's say, this platform, so मैं ये नहीं करूंगा. ऐसा नहीं है. आप सीईओ हो तो you have to know everything. Oh, sorry, something is yeah, sorry. So you should know everything. I mean, you should know a wide variety of things, how they affect each other, right? So current affairs is extremely important, static GK is extremely important. So we will be doing that uh, a lot of our sessions will be focused on current affairs. So we will, uh, and then there'll be a lot of reading to do, right? So as I've started sharing some newspapers and articles, so gradually as we go, I'll start giving you also stories which you should be more keenly following, okay? Because not everything is important, right? There are things which you need to know, and there are things which you may know. It's okay, good to know, but not necessary. So we will talk about those VAT assignments, like I said, and evaluation. Multiple mock interviews. So you will basically get whatever number of interviews you want, and we will have students from and alumni from these top colleges also who will be conducting those interviews. So you get a very specific institute-based mock also. Though to my mind, in the past, it doesn't really matter to that extent, that okay, if you are getting a call at IMB, then uh, very institute focused. Yes, there are certain things about the institute which you must know, right? Whenever you go to any college for an interview, you should know. I mean, you should have gone through their website. You should know their logo. You should know their motto. You should know when they were established. You should know the director. You should know the notable alumni of that institute. You should know how does that institute pitches itself against the other institutes, right? Right. So what makes B different from C, or A different from B, or somebody else from somebody else. So you should have a little bit of clarity on that. And obviously, if you are interviewed by somebody from that institute, then it helps, right? They can give you a lot of inputs because they are already there, right? And Watson, Glaser, or any kind of other psychometric test which is taken or announced by any institute will do that. So because who knows, NMIMS, and these are very fickle-minded organizations, right? They keep changing their cutoffs, they keep changing their whole procedure, right? So we don't know this year uh, somebody might come up with some other exam or test. So we will do that also, right? So all this is deliverable in this particular program. Any questions? Okay, cool, cool. So does this seem like a lot of work? How many people agree that this is a lot of work? Raise your hands. Okay, so people feel that there's a lot of work. So yes. अभी इनफैक्ट अभी तो शुरू हुई है पार्टी, द वे दे से, राइट? अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है, अभी बहुत सारी चीजें और भी है, राइट? सो अभी व्हेन वी गो इनटू लेट्स से दीज एरियाज कि पर्सनल इंटरव्यू में क्या क्या पूछ सकते हैं, राइट? सो देन वी हैव अगेन अ बिग लॉन्ड्री लिस्ट व्हिच you have to start working on, right? Okay, so let's look at some interview basics. uh, okay, Ojaswini, I see your hand raised. Is it to the response to the last question, or you have a doubt? Okay.
Sir, it was in response to the last
Okay,
question.
okay, no problem. Not at all. No problem. Fine. Okay, so we will look at some interview basics, right? That this scene we all know, right, from the famous movie. I'm sure most of us have seen it. So interview basics. Let me ask you a simple question: that why do they interview you, right? What is it that they want to find out? They've already got your CAT score. They've already got your credentials, right? Fantastic credentials you got. You are working already in a top-notch organization. So why do they still want to interview you? Anyone? What is the purpose of the interview? What are they testing, right? Let's say what all specific areas are they looking at when they interview you? Yes, Tanisha.
So basically, communication skills, leadership skills, and like how can you behave basically. Overall जो भी होता है जो टेस्ट वगैरह के थ्रू तो हमारी नॉलेज पता चलती है
Right,
बट लाइक कैसा हमारा साइकोमेट्रिक चीजें हैं कैसा हम कितना हम एबिलिटी से सोच सकते हैं.
right, right. Cool. Yes, great. Yes, Ashish.
Sir, I think their main aim is to check that how we present ourselves, that whatever credentials we have, are we able to best portray them in front of someone?
Okay, so presenting yourself in the best possible manner before them. Fair enough. Yes, Kushagar.
Sir, I think they want to test our presence of mind and spontaneous thinking.
Hmm.
That like because in CAT and all, like we get time of 2 hours, and also
But
there in
can
the interview.
do we really get time?
Then no,
Not
not
that way.
actually, sir.
I
But
get your
लेकिन
point.
सर जैसे वहाँ पे कोई भी क्वेश्चन if we don't know the answer, तो I think वो ये टेस्ट करना चाहते हैं कि कैसे हम लोग उस चीज़ का आंसर बता रहे हैं या क्या बोल रहे हैं. I think इसलिए.
Right, right. So ability to think on feet is what you're saying, right? Quick judgment, quick ability to respond, right? Okay. Yes, Ashwini.
Sir, I think primarily they want to test is that are you fit for that organization or not?
Are you fit for the organization or not? Okay, very good. Yes, Ojaswini.
Sir, I think that the purpose of interview is to get to know the candidate beyond their achievements and the exam scores or their academics, their emotional quotient, and how they are handling themselves in how to observe and see how the person will handle himself or herself in real life situations beyond basically academics and papers.
Very good. Excellent. Fair enough. So I think all of you put together have covered most of the things, right? So they are looking at your ability to express yourself, ability to handle pressure, right? So that's a high pressure situation, right? It's a high stress situation. Interview is not like a cup of coffee over at Starbucks, right? It's a serious discussion. Um, then again, let's say how quickly you are able to come up with things which you may not have prepared. See, one part of the interview is let's say what you already can anticipate, right? So there are many questions which you can anticipate and prepare for, but there'll be many which you wouldn't have thought that they would ask, but they ask, right? So how do you handle those? And in case of ambiguity, in case of you don't not being aware of those things, how do you handle? Do you try to bluff your way out, or do you acknowledge that yes, you don't know? So which is the best way to handle such situation? All that we will take a look at, right? So and they are looking at what kind of person, as are you? Do you come across as a person who shows some leadership traits? You come across as a person who's a good team player. So all of those things they are testing, right? Now, if you see, all of this is what basically you are here the product, right? You are the product here. You are so just as a product has to showcase itself in the best possible manner, so do you, right? So you also have to do it the same way. That you have to make them want you. Like you see a nice product ad of any product, and you want to own it, right? So similarly, they should feel compelled to take you, right? So you should put your best foot forward. So when we talk about why interviews, right? Uh, so this is what we discussed here. Now let's talk about interview panel here, right? So interview panel basically, if you see, typically you have 2 to 7, right? And who are those people? So they are uh, maybe professors. Mostly they are professors of the college. Some alumni are also called, and some psychologists are also there, right? Who are observing you, right? So maybe among these, maybe 1 or 2 will start asking, and then they will pass on to the other. Maybe somebody will totally sit quiet and does not participate and keep observing you, how you are behaving, what is your body language, right? Because it's very important that whatever you are saying, that's fine, but then your body language also has to be good, right? So all of these people, psychologists, are trained whether you are lying, right, or whether you are presenting the truth. So ये psychologist जो है इनका यही काम है कि assess करना, right? So that's how the interview panel uh, goes, right? Uh, so again, I mean, this is something. See, uh, all through this process, what you should be more bothered about and worried about or concerned about is basically what you can control. There are many things which you can't control, which so you don't need to bother about those, right? वो अब 2 आएंगे कि 3 आएंगे कि 4 आएंगे, वो वो देके आया था इंटरव्यू, उसमें 5 आ गए थे, उसमें तो एक इकोनॉमिक्स का आ गया था, फाइनेंस का आ गया था, मैं तो इस बैकग्राउंड का ही नहीं हूँ, या वो मार्केटिंग का आ गया था या आ गई थी, और उसने तो उससे वही पूछ लिया, हो गया, ठीक है, दैट्स ओके, दैट्स नॉट विद इन योर कंट्रोल, राइट? सो प्लीज नॉट बी bothered about all of this. Be focused only on what you can control, and that's it, right? Next comes, what are the types of interviews, right? So you can segregate interviews into two classifications, right? One is whether it's an individual interview or a group interview. So as we discussed just a while back in response to a query, that group interviews are held, as far as I know, only in SPJ, IMR, right? That's all. That's the only institute that has a group interview, which means 6 people or 5 people or even 4 for that matter sometimes sit together and then they are interviewed. Rest of the colleges have got an individual interview process. So that's what. Now, how should we? I mean, should we prepare differently for these? Yes, a little bit of difference is there in this, a little bit of difference, but broadly there's not much difference. So, because as I said, you can't control, right? You have absolutely no way of knowing who all will be there in your group, because many times, as we know, in SPJ IMR, you need to specify your specialization, right? So if let's say you have chosen finance, or somebody else has chosen marketing, or somebody has chosen IM or SCM, so it may be possible that the group that they create is basically a varied group, like it doesn't have only finance or only this thing, and then maybe some question which is being passed around could come to you also, So how do you handle that? Let's say some question was asked, which was very heavy finance backed question, and it was asked to a finance guy, right? And then he couldn't answer. So you are not from finance, you are basically from a tech background, maybe when it comes to you. So how do you handle? So let me understand how many of you have undergone SPJ IMR process so far. Please raise your hand and then you can give your input here. Yes, Kushal. So what was your experience?
Yes, sir. So last year, like I gave it. So, sir, like it was key group तो they formed like on the basis of the specialization only.
अच्छा, okay.
हाँ
So
मतलब ग्रुप
you
उन्होंने
were gunning for IM, right, or finance?
नो सर एक्चुअली लास्ट ईयर मतलब मेरा ऐसे कोई सीरियस अटेम्प्ट नहीं था
अच्छा,
कैट का तो
right,
मैंने ऐसे ही भरा था
right,
तो
right.
फिर लाइक बट उसके आई थिंक कॉल आ जाती है 96 के अराउंड पे आ जाती है उसकी कॉल ऑल्सो सर मतलब जो मेरा कंपनी लाइक आई एम वर्किंग इन अ बैंक तो मेरे को उसका प्रोफाइल का भी एडवांटेज था फाइनेंस में बट द थिंग विच आई डिड रॉन्ग वाज कि आई एम वर्किंग इन द टेक पार्ट ऑफ द बैंक मतलब मैं सॉफ्टवेयर में काम कर रहा हूँ और मैंने उनके फॉर्म में सारा ये लिखा हुआ था कि मैं तो मतलब फाइनेंस में ही पूरा काम करता हूँ और मैंने फाइनेंस ही स्पेशलाइजेशन भरी थी तो व्हाट दे डिड वाज कि उन्होंने मेरा ग्रुप फाइनेंस के हिसाब से ही बना दिया सारा और सर जो एक लाइक खराब चीज़ ये हो गई कि जो साथ में जो लाइक 3 लोग थे मेरे तो उसमें से जो ग्रुप में उन्होंने 7 के लोग डाले हुए थे तो उसमें से एक बंदा वन गाय वाज फ्रॉम गोल्डमैन सैक्स तो ही वाज एक्चुअली वर्किंग इनटू इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग एंड द अदर 2 गाइस हैड द सीएफए लेवल 1 डिग्री सीएफए लेवल 1 की सर्टिफिकेशन थी बाकी दोनों की तो सर वहाँ पे फिर मुझे थोड़ा सा रियलाइज हो गया मैंने मैसअप कर दिया है वो सब लिख के तो सर फिर बट वो लाइक एक्चुअली हुआ क्या वो फिर थोड़ा सा लाइक जेनरिक उस पर नोट हुआ बट फिर वहाँ से मुझे समझ आया कि ऐसे मतलब लिखना नहीं चाहिए क्योंकि वो आई थिंक उस हिसाब से ग्रुप बनाते हैं
Right, right. Correct. So, yes, see, many times this happens, but then I've seen situations where, despite, let's say, you putting that you are aiming for, let's say, product management or something, they put you in a group which is a mixed kind of a group, and then they sometimes they take care that they will ask you only questions relevant to your background. But at times it happens that they pass on a question. हो जाता कई बार. So we should be prepared to some extent, right? Which is why, okay, so I don't know, I somehow missed in that part where I mentioned the deliverables and all. There's another deliverable. I don't know how I missed that. We will cover the basics of management areas to some extent, right? We will have sessions on finance and marketing and economics and consulting and HR and IM, supply chain, all of those domains, right? Because you are, even though you may be from a tech background, but you need to know a little bit about all of these, right? तो और जो लोग इन एरिया से हैं तो उनसे ऑब्वियसली डेप्थ में क्वेश्चन पूछे जाएंगे तो वो भी कवर करेंगे हम, right? That will also be a part of this program. So coming back, group interviews, okay, very I mean interesting this format, and so fine, we'll prepare for that, and rest of them are individual interviews. The other way to classify this is on the basis of a regular or a stress interview, right? So कई बार are these two different, or stress is a part of every interview, or how do you look upon that? So anyone has a view on it? ये दोनों में क्या फर्क होता है? स्ट्रेस क्यों दिया जाता है, नहीं होता है तो क्यों होता है? Any views, anyone? Anyone faced a stress interview? कहीं पे ऐसा आपको लगा है कि कुछ स्ट्रेस इंटरव्यू हो रहा है? ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. तो यस कुशाल.
सर मतलब वही पिछले साल SPJIMR वाले में ही था तो व्हाट दे वर डूइंग इज कि लाइक दे वर रिवॉल्विंग अ क्वेश्चन वो क्वेश्चन उठा रहे थे फाइनेंस का ही उठा रहे थे एंड व्हाट दे वर डूइंग इज कि वो 4 लोग थे जैसे हम लोग तो उसमें वो उस क्वेश्चन को घुमा रहे थे तो लाइक अगर जैसे मेरे से आंसर नहीं हुआ तो जो साइड में बंदा बैठा हुआ है वो उससे फिर पूछ रहे थे कि अच्छा तुम्हें पता है क्या ऐसे करके एंड अगर उससे भी नहीं हुआ तो वो उसके साइड वाले से मतलब ऐसे घुमा रहे थे एक ही क्वेश्चन को एंड दे वर लाइक काइंड ऑफ कि किसी से आंसर नहीं हो रहा तो लाइक वो थोड़ा सा ऐसे प्रेशर डाल रहे थे कि टाइम का अच्छा कि अगर ये नहीं हो रहा तो ये दूसरा वाला जो बैठा है इससे पूछेंगे इफ ही टेल्स इट सो काइंड ऑफ एक वो क्विज टाइप गेम कर रहे थे तो उससे थोड़ा सा मुझे लगा था थोड़ा पैनिक सा हो रहा था उस टाइम पे कि
Right, right. Correct. So, see, most of the times it is regular interview. Now, at times, when when somebody, अब बहुत सारे अलग अलग टाइप के लोग होते हैं candidates, right? Some people want to play smart, they want to pull a fast one, right? They think that they know a lot, and they think that they want to bring themselves to the level of the interviewer, right? तो उस सिचुएशन में वो जो इंटरव्यूअर है और जो पैनल में कोई है, they might get a little teased off or a little annoyed, and then that could lead to stress interview, right? Sometimes the situation there develops that somebody is trying to act a little too smart, so to show them their real place, they'll start doing a stress interview, right? So stress interview होता है. I mean, stress is a part of every interview, so we will discuss ये इसको कैसे handle करना है, क्या करना है, but that one way to kind of classify, right? Duration of an interview, right? So duration of an interview कितनी होती है? Now again, this depends, right? There have been interviews which have not even lasted for 5 minutes, and then there are interviews that last for 45 minutes to even an hour, right? Now, is the duration of an interview an indication of the prospects, right? Some people feel that the longer you are interviewed, the better it is, right? And then they will kind of gloat over it or boast about it that our interview went on for 45 minutes and all that. So, or somebody who's just dismissed in 5 minutes. See, there is absolutely no correlation. Let me tell you honestly. Many times it depends upon the number of candidates also, and the where you are in the in the whole interview schedule, right? Whether you are in the beginning, obviously in the beginning, like in the beginning of the day, let's say if you are having a morning slot and all, then maybe it goes for a little longer. But as the things go on and they get a little weary and tired, obviously they're also humans, right? If you interview 15, 20, 30 candidates in a day, toward the end, it just becomes very mechanical. So, but again, that is not an indication of whether you did well or not. Then again, these CAP interviews which were conducted online, they're hardly 10 minutes. I mean, in general, FMS interviews are known to be very short, okay, just 10 minutes, because they do it squeeze it in 4 days, right? And they do it all offline at their institute here. So they are hard pressed for time. So they do it very quickly. So it depends upon the institute, depends upon, how is their schedule. So let's say these top IIMs, right? They conduct interviews over 2 to 3 months, right? They're in different places, so they are more relaxed. They will do it at leisure. They want to kind of assess the candidate more deeply, so they will have a 30-minute or 45-minute interview. They will want to do many more things, right? See, it depends upon what all things they want to test, because one part of the interview process would involve asking you to do some quant questions also, right? आजकल ये भी बहुत है कि क्वांट के क्वेश्चंस आपको दे दिए, इक्वेशन सॉल्व करने को दे दी, ज्योमेट्री का कोई प्रॉब्लम दे दिया, वो भी देते हैं वो, कोई पजल करने को दे दिया आपको, या कुछ गेस्टिमेट टाइप का कुछ दे दिया आपको. तो अलग अलग तरीके के अलग अलग एंगेजमेंट कराते हैं. तो ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एन इंटरव्यू विल डिपेंड अपॉन द इंस्टीट्यूट ऑल्सो, क्या उनकी फिलोसफी है, राइट? बट अगेन देयर इज नो स्टैंडर्ड रूल एंड देयर इज नो कोरिलेशन, राइट? नाउ let's talk about some preparatory. I mean, if there is any question, please ask. Else we move to the next. इसमें कोई आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन हो तो पूछ सकते हैं. Else we move to the next slide. Cool. Let's take a look at. Yes, Yashwini.
So when we were discussing about the stress interviews, other than the personality aspects and how the candidate is trying to act, or apart from that, if the interview is going well, but there are some wrong answers to some factual questions. If there is one, like कोई quant का सवाल पूछ लिया या कुछ figure पूछ लिया, उसमें अगर कुछ गलत हो जाता है, तो will we count that as stress interview or a couple of wrong answers?
No, that's fine. See, your answers do not decide whether the interview is stress interview or not. It is more dependent upon how they want to take it forward. So let's say you are not able to answer many questions on a trot, right? So obviously you will be at the back foot, and they will want to see that how do you respond to such a situation. See, one thing I'll tell you, that please take it in your mind and believe it very, very firmly, that no one can answer all the questions in an interview correctly, okay, or well, very well. No one can. It's beyond, because see, for the interviewer, it's a like a blue sky, right? You can ask anything. I mean, I can ask anything under the sun, right? I can ask, who was the first president of India? So that's a simple question. Who was the fifth president of India? Now, obviously, you may not, you may not suddenly strike. Somebody who's prepared for maybe civil services or something may know that who's the fifth president of India, or maybe they ask who's the 10th prime minister of India. तो इस तरह के क्वेश्चन आप ऑर्डिनरीली एकदम से रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर पाओगे. आप करंट प्रेसिडेंट बता दोगे, करंट प्राइम मिनिस्टर बता दोगे, एक दो पहले के बता दोगे, दैट्स फाइन. बट हु विल रिमेंबर, and what is, why is it even needed, right? What is the relevance of such question? तो द पॉइंट इज कि इसलिए उनके पास में तो सब कुछ है, राइट? दे कैन आस्क एनीथिंग. वो तो इनफैक्ट इन मेनी इंटरव्यूज आई हर्ड फ्रॉम कैंडिडेट्स दैट वो गूगल खोल के बैठे रहते हैं, पर्टिकुलरली इन दीज. देखो, ये सब भी ज्यादा उसमें होता है जो कॉलेजेस की बहुत ज्यादा ऊंची रैंकिंग नहीं है, तो वहाँ की ऑब्वियसली फैकल्टी भी जो होगी वो एक उसका लेवल अलग होगा, राइट? जो टॉप आईआईएम्स के या टॉप कॉलेजेस के प्रोफेसर इंटरव्यू लेने आते हैं, दे आर एट अ वेरी वेरी डिफरेंट लेवल ऑल टुगेदर. आई मीन, दे आर लाइक, some are like know-alls, you will be amazed to kind of see their breadth of what all they know, right? तो उस तरीके के आपको उन कॉलेजेस में नहीं मिलेंगे. तो नीचे के जो कॉलेजेस होते हैं उसमें जो इंटरव्यू होंगे उसमें वो गूगल खोल के बैठे रहते हैं कि आपके कई इंटरव्यूज में, और आप कुछ भी पूछ लेंगे उठा के, कोई भी एक इस तरह का फैक्ट और फिगर पूछ लेंगे. तो आपको नहीं पता है तो नहीं पता है, राइट? यू शुड फाइन, यू शुड एक्सेप्ट इट दैट सो सॉरी आई डोंट नो बट श्योरली आई विल गो एंड लुक इट अप. दैट्स इट, दैट शुड बी योर स्टैंडर्ड रिस्पॉन्स. चाहे वो एक हो या दो हो. फिर वो तीन चार भी नहीं आएंगे तो यस सर, आई थिंक आई मे हैव मिस्ड आउट रीडिंग ऑन दिस और समथिंग और द अदर, यू क्रिएट अ रिस्पॉन्स एंड दैट्स ऑल, एंड डोंट गेट पर्टर्ब. जनरली क्या होता है कि फिर हम बहुत नर्वस हो जाते हैं, फिर अगला जो क्वेश्चन आता है वो भी हम नहीं बता पाते, तो देन इट काइंड ऑफ बिकम्स इनटू अ कन्वर्ट्स इनटू अ स्ट्रेस इंटरव्यू, राइट? तो आपको वो स्ट्रेस नहीं लेना है. नहीं आते क्वेश्चन तो नहीं आते, दो चार पांच नहीं आए कोई बात नहीं, कुछ नहीं आए कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. So try to then, maybe if it gets steered into the direction in which is in your favor, that's fine. So इस तरीके से हैंडल करते हैं.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so some preparatory aspects, right? So preparatory aspects means your dress code, right? What should be you should be wearing, your entry and initial moments, how should you be sitting, body language should be to be used. Do I need to prepare a CV? These are some of the questions which are asked and which we will keep on discussing as we go along. That what is the dress code? Obviously formal, right? You need to be in formal where you need to be wearing clean formal attire, right? And we know preferably suits for men, ties and all that, and proper laced shoes and proper socks and all, right? You can't be like going for a fancy dress or something, or maybe in a party or casual, दो अलग अलग कलर के सॉक्स पहनने या सॉक्स मैचिंग नहीं हो. शूज ऑल्सो आर, शूज शुड बी ऑल्सो लेस्ड शूज, राइट? ऑल ऑफ दैट. तो ठीक है, we will discuss this dress code thing that we go along, but if you do not have, then you may need to get one, right? Beg, borrow, steal or whatever. But it's good to be in a proper formal attire. You feel good about yourself. You need to, now entry and initial moments, right? So you when you enter, you need to, so the door will be closed, right? Most of the time the door is closed, and you need to knock, right? And then open it slightly and say, may I come in? And then they will say yes, and then you will go and sit there. You will not, sorry, you will not sit there, you will go there, and then they will ask you to sit, wherein you will pull a chair in and then sit, right? And then greet them, right? Look all of them in the eye and greet them, right? If they are sitting in a small circle, semicircle, then you should look at each and everyone and say good morning, sir, good morning, right? तो ये initial moments है आपके, which are obviously, as they say, right, the first impression. So to some extent, the first impression kind of creates, your next few mistakes, because आपका अच्छा impression है नहीं है, you are fumbling, you are feeling awkward, you are not being able to conduct yourself to the best possible this thing, then थोड़ा सा उसका आपको, you will yourself feel a little bit on the back foot, right? Sitting posture straight, you need to sit. Don't slouch on the chair, right? Cross-legged. Don't sit like. Recently, I don't know how many of you saw that Anjana Om Kashyap and the other female journalists, they were interviewing Putin in Putin's palace, and the way they were sitting. So how many people saw that picture? No one. Raymond saw, yes. Amritesh also saw, yes. So how were they sitting? Were they sitting in the right way, or that was the wrong way to sit? So that was a wrong way to sit. Yes, Amritesh, you remember?
They were sitting cross-legged, I think.
Yes, they were sitting one leg over the other.
Yes.
Their one leg was over the other, the way you sit for a casual chat. So which kind of took a lot of flack, and a lot of people said that it was not right to sit across such a powerful and important person like this, right? तो यस, तो काफी क्रिटिसिज्म मिला था उनको. तो आपको बैठेंगे तो आप अपना पैर एक दूसरे के ऊपर नहीं रखेंगे, राइट? यू विल सिट कंफर्टेबली, यू विल नॉट स्लाउच, पुट योर हैंड्स, पुट वट एवर यू आर कैरिंग, इसमें अपनी लैप में रखेंगे, राइट? यू विल लीव योर बैग आउटसाइड, यू कांट ब्रिंग योर बैग इन, अपना उसमें बैग बाहर रखना है, सिर्फ फाइल लेके आनी है, फोल्डर जो भी है आपका, और वो फोल्डर अपनी लैप में रखना है. यू डोंट हैव टू पुट दैट फोल्डर ऑन टॉप ऑफ द टेबल. बीच में आपकी टेबल है तो टेबल पे अपना फोल्डर नहीं रखना है कि भाई ये तो मेरी जगह, इसको पे मेरा हक है, ऐसा नहीं है. यू डोंट हैव टू पुट योर एल्बोज ऑन द टेबल, राइट? आपके हैंड्स जो है वो केयरफुली आपकी लैप में होनी चाहिए. Body language should be right, warm and smiling a little bit, not kind of forced smiling, थोड़ी सी casual, pleasant. Language to be used in interview कौन सी होनी चाहिए? Purely English, okay? You can't be, see they will be saying, वो लोग हिंदी में भी बात करते रहेंगे, okay? आपस में कई तो इंटरव्यूअर्स होते हैं, इवन टॉप कॉलेजेस में भी वो आपस में हिंदी में ही कुछ ना कुछ बोलते रहेंगे. बट आपको यू हैव टू मेंटेन योर लैंग्वेज अनलेस दे आस्क यू स्पेसिफिकली टू टॉक इन any particular language, right? Do you need to prepare a CV? Not necessarily. कई कॉलेज स्पेसिफिकली बोलते हैं कि अपना एक सीवी लेके आइए, वो इंस्ट्रक्शन पे लिखा होगा. कई जगह पे नहीं होता, तो आपका फॉर्म में आपने सारे डिटेल भरी दिए हैं, बट फिर भी ले जाओगे तो कोई नुकसान नहीं है, राइट? इफ यू कैन क्रिएट अ सीवी एंड टेक इट, इट मे नॉट बी, मतलब कोई ऐसा सीवी ना हो. अब सीवी सिखाने के लिए आपको, वंस यू गेट इनटू एन एमबीए कॉलेज, देन दे विल फर्स्ट में घुसते ही आपको सीवी बनाना होगा 30 दिन में पहले, वो अलग प्रोसेस है. बट अभी जैसा भी सीवी आपका है आप ले जा सकते हो, राइट? बट नॉट नेसेसरी, व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, राइट? नाउ व्हाट ऑल शुड यू बी काइंड ऑफ बी देयर इन योर फाइल, राइट? ये आपकी सर्टिफिकेट फाइल आप लेके जाते हो. तो अभी CC, why I'm saying all of this is that because many of you will, I mean, it's always better to start working on all of these things parallelly, rather than realizing कि अरे ये तो हमने सब इकट्ठा ही नहीं किया है, ये सब तो हमारे पास है ही नहीं, and then those last minute confusions and panic should not happen. So you should have a good certificate file folder जो भी है. Certificates arranged in a reverse chronological order, right? जो लेटेस्ट हैं वो सबसे पहले होने चाहिए. क्लास 10 के पहले के सर्टिफिकेट नहीं डालने हैं, राइट? या आपने कोई अगर कोई इंटरनेशनल जीता हुआ है कुछ, या कुछ नेशनल लेवल पे कुछ आप धुरंधर हो किसी तरीके के, तो अलग बात है. बट आपने अगर कोई लेमन रेस जीती थी कहीं पे, या अ, कोई सैक वाली कोई रेस जीती, तो वो उसके सर्टिफिकेट ना लगाएं तो बेटर है. डोंट ट्राई टू हाइड बैक बैड मार्क्स और गैप ईयर और एनीथिंग, राइट? सी, बी वेरी ओपन अबाउट इट. देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग, राइट, इन टेकिंग अ गैप. Now, this is a question that we will discuss to great detail as we go along. कि जिन लोगों ने people who have left their jobs, um, so how should they, or people who let's say finished their education or graduation, but they have not taken up any employment after that, या कुछ internship वगैरह करी है suppose, तो how do you present it, right? Because obviously it will be asked कि आपने कोई employment क्यों नहीं लिया, तो क्या करना चाहिए, right? Or how should you handle that question? So this is a very important part of the whole preparation, that आपकी जो story बनेगी, right? Your story will be unique to you, right? So that story will bring about as if this gap or whatever had been taken was a very conscious decision, right? Wherein you wanted to achieve something. Now, let's say you have got a good call from a good college, right? आपने 99 परसेंटाइल लिया है, 98 लिया है, जो भी अच्छे, इफ यू बीन जैसे लास्ट ईयर आपके 80 परसेंटाइल आए थे, राइट? और आपने जब आप पढ़ते थे तो आपने कुछ मॉक्स दिया था, तो कहीं आपको लगता था कि मैं तो कहीं से कहीं तक आई डोंट स्टैंड अ चांस. बट लेट्स से आफ्टर टेकिंग अ गैप or leaving a job or not working, you've been able to get a 99 percentile or whatever it is. That itself shows that whatever decision you took has at least brought you here, that you are sitting in front of them. Because had you not done that, then you may not have even got this chance, राइट. सो दैट इज द फर्स्ट, जिसको कहते हैं प्रूफ ऑफ द पुडिंग इज इन द ईटिंग. तो ऐसे करके आपको स्टार्ट करना है अपना. एंड देन वी विल टॉक अबाउट व्हाट ऑल टू से टू काइंड ऑफ give a justification for that gap year. But obviously, we won't try to hide or kind of just cover it up or something, right? Now again, there'll be many questions on this as we go along. Some of you may be working in maybe family firms or in some small companies, or maybe not working, but then you have shown that you are working. So, okay, now we can't help it. Obviously, even if you have shown that you are working and you are not, so how to cover it up? What all will be needed? One is obviously from the documentation perspective, what all will be needed, and second is from a knowledge perspective and being able to articulate in the interview, because जो भी आपने किया है उसके ऊपर बातचीत होगी, right? What all you do, what are your responsibilities, what are your achievements, right? How have you helped the firm, in what way you have proved to be of value to the company, why are they retaining you, right? All of those things. What are your plans after this, why do you want to kind of leave them and all. तो इन सब चीजों के ऊपर फिर डिस्कशन होगा. तो इवन इफ यू हैव काइंड ऑफ created some story out of it, so we will have to see that the story has got some substance, right? And बाकी की चीजें आपकी सब सेफली होनी चाहिए. That's what it is, certificate file. So it's like if you look at the order here, right? So all this should be, ये मैं आपको शेयर कर दूंगा. तो अभी it's a little maybe preliminary for all of these things, but still we should keep in mind. तो ये सारी चीजें आपको इस ऑर्डर में अपने इसमें अगर रखोगे तो ठीक है. डोंट कीप व्हाट यू डोंट वांट देम टू सी. कुछ चीज कई बार हम इनएडवर्टेंटली कई चीज रख लेते हैं जो हम नहीं दिखाना चाहते, वो भी रिवील हो जाती है. यू शुड यूज सम, अगर आपने कोई अचीवमेंट्स हैं, आपका कहीं पेपर पर नाम छपा हुआ है, और कुछ आपको यू गॉट सम accolade somewhere, then you should highlight it and from project files. Okay, so that was about the preliminary part, right? The prep part to the interview, physical process, right? Okay, so any questions on this, or we move to the next section? Cool. Let's look at the personal interview process, right? So as we discussed in the beginning, this is a selling process, right? So you are basically selling yourself. So obviously, like we said, you need to be putting your best foot forward. Now, need-based selling hoti hai, right? You should know what they are looking for, right? What kind of, and then you have to match whatever you are. So you are the product. So what kind of candidate they are looking for, and how do you match or fulfill their requirement, right? So for that, what is it that is done, right? So suppose you are an advertising agency and a marketer has come and said that, see, I've got a product here. I want you to create a marketing strategy around it, an advertising, an ad around it, right? Some promotional material around it. तो किसी को भी अगर वो करना है, तो हियर इन दिस केस यू आर योरसेल्फ द प्रोडक्ट एंड यू आर योरसेल्फ द एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी, राइट? तो एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी पीपल विल ऑब्वियसली से दैट यार ये प्रोडक्ट है क्या, राइट? वी शुड नो द प्रोडक्ट इनसाइड आउट, right? We should know the strengths of this product. We should know the USPs, right? What are the differentiating factors of this product with respect to something else? Then also we will need to know what are the weaknesses, right? Because obviously there is nothing in this world which is perfect, right? Including a human being. Always there are some, because ultimately we are all humans, right? So we all have our flaws. More importantly, how are we working towards ironing out those flaws is what is looked at. आपके अंदर कोई कमियां हैं, फाइन, सभी में होती है, but are you first of all aware of those? And second is, what are some steps that you are taking in order to overcome those deficiencies or weaknesses? ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. तो आप जब प्रोडक्ट हो तो आपको you should know yourself. So this whole process of let's say writing answers to all of these interview questions, SOPs or essays or stuff like that, is a part of knowing yourself, right? Because it needs a lot of introspection. इसके जो आंसर्स होते हैं वो ऐसे एकदम से they are not staring in your face. So let's say if somebody asked you to describe some of the experiences that have shaped you, right? Or they might ask you to tell like which are your most noteworthy achievements so far. 3 of your most noteworthy achievements. Now, in these kind of questions, generally जो एस्पिरेंट होंगे या कैंडिडेट होंगे उन्हें लगेगा कि यार हमने तो ऐसा कोई तीर नहीं मारा है ना। सपोज आपको कोई गोल्ड मेडल नहीं मिला है, आप कहीं इंस्टीट्यूट में आप कहीं टॉप अप नहीं किए हो, राइट, और कोई आपके पास में का कोई तमगा नहीं है, ना कोई आपने एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर या कोई स्पोर्ट्स में कोई आपने कहीं बहुत नाम कमाया हो, ऐसा भी नहीं है सपोज। तो देन दे स्टार्ट फीलिंग अ लिटिल डिसहार्टेंड कि यार हमारे पास तो अपने बारे में बोलने के लिए कुछ नहीं है, विच इज अगेन वेरी रॉन्ग, because there are many situations, right? If you look back at our situation, we will, I'm sure each one of us can identify many situations where we felt proud of what we did. Okay, maybe not in the worldly terms like academics, or maybe in some in your job or something, but somewhere or the other you would have done something which is worthwhile and which you want people to know. Those are your achievements, right? Suppose you've helped someone, right? आपने किसी को पढ़ाया, suppose करो, like you taught some kids or someone, just out of your love for teaching maybe, or you supported someone in some tough times for whatever it was worth, right? तो उसकी भी एक स्टोरी आप बन सकती है कि that was your biggest achievement. There's nothing wrong in it, right? इसमें कोई सही और गलत नहीं होता है. आपके लिए वो अचीवमेंट है, that is what, and how do you present it, right? So many, and for that matter, even if let's say you are not a topper, but you are, let's say, somewhere in the middle, but that itself was an achievement, because maybe you were not even there when you started out. आप शुरू शुरू में मे बी फेल होते थे, या मे बी यू वर इन द लोअर kind of range of students, but gradually you lifted yourself up and came to the middle or average. That itself is an achievement. तो आपको मतलब अपने don't go by the conventional. See, some of us have those credentials, fine, great, right? Some of you would be topper, some of you would have these kind of achievements to boast about, or talk, not boast about, sorry, but to talk about, that's fine. But many who wouldn't, don't think that you are at a great disadvantage. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You can see, but the personal interview में बहुत कुछ ये है कि आप उसको कुछ ऐसा दो, right? You give something which kind of appeals to them कि हाँ यार ये ठीक है, this person may not have topped in college or school or something, but then this is worthy of our batch, because they are looking at a wide variety of people, right? Diversity is the name of the game in institutes these days, as we know, right? चाहे वो academic diversity हो, चाहे वो professional diversity हो, चाहे वो gender diversity हो, right? So हर तरह की diversity they are looking for. तो आपके अंदर हो सकता है ऐसी कुछ चीज हो, right, which you may be undermining yourself. तो इसलिए knowing yourself is a very important. Thinking, looking back at your life is very important here. तो कई बार क्या होता है कि लोग कहते हैं कि भाई आप हमें आंसर बता दो इसका, कि हम क्या लिखे हैं हमारे, तो वो आंसर ऐसा नहीं होता है, राइट? यू हैव टू गिव, यू हैव टू, देयर हैज टू बी अ स्टार्ट, राइट? देयर हैज टू बी स्टार्ट एंड देन इट कैन बी रिफाइंड. But if, let's say, the foundation is not there, then the building cannot be created on it. Because if the foundation is not there, I create a building over it, and then the interviewer realizes that यार ये तो कुछ नहीं है, इसने हवा में बिल्डिंग बनाई है, तो वो एक फूक मारेगा तो वो बिल्डिंग गिर जाएगी. तो आपके पास कुछ फाउंडेशन होगी, तो आप जिसपे इस पे व्हेन प्रोब डीपर यू विल बी एबल टू टॉक अबाउट इट, राइट? दे आर ट्राइंग टू सिलेक्ट यू, सो यू नीड टू पुट योर बेस्ट फुट फॉरवर्ड. तो इसमें ऐसा नहीं सोच के चलना है ये तो हमने नहीं है, इसने ऐसे क्वेश्चन क्यों पूछे, ये तो मेरे अगेंस्ट बायस्ड है. कई बार ऐसा मन में हमारे आता है इंटरव्यू देने के बाद. कई लोग आके बोलते हैं यार दैट पर्सन वाज टोटली, आई डोंट नो व्हाट, राइट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग दैट पर्सन वाज बायस्ड अगेंस्ट मी, and he made my life miserable there, and he the others were fine to me, they were fine, but then this person was being very nasty. So देखो वो एक could be a deliberate ploy, right? Good cop, bad cop. So somebody could be, could be maybe uh, trying to test that how do you respond to stress, or when faced with nasty situation, how much you can keep your cool. देखो बहुत कॉमन है ये कि ऐसी सिचुएशन में नर्वस हो जाते हैं, आंसर पता होते हुए भी आंसर नहीं निकलते हैं, राइट? तो वही सब सिचुएशन वो टेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि आप हाउ डू यू फेयर और कम अक्रॉस इन सच सिचुएशंस, राइट? तो डोंट गो बाय माइंडसेट दैट ये तो मुझे निकालने के लिए, मेरे को तंग करने के लिए यहाँ पे बुलाया गया है, या मेरे, या दे आर मेकिंग फन ऑफ मी, ऐसा नहीं है। स्ट्रेंथ्स एंड अचीवमेंट्स आर द की, राइट? सो कोई भी प्रोडक्ट होगा तो हम उसके जब फीचर बताएंगे वहां पे, तो हम उसकी कमजोरी थोड़ी बताएंगे। We will try to camouflage or hide those weaknesses and talk about. Of course he will ask, right? जैसे आप कुछ प्रोडक्ट खरीदने जाते हो तो आप उससे पूछते हो कि यार इसमें अच्छा ये कैसे चलता है, अच्छा इसमें ये क्या है, राइट? तो देन वी विल फिगर आउट यार इसमें ये गड़बड़ है। तो आप उससे पूछोगे तो देन द सेल्समैन विल एक्सप्लेन टू यू कि नहीं नहीं इसमें ये नहीं है, ऐसा है लगता है आपको। देन दे विल टेल यू सम वर्क अराउंड, राइट? So the point is that you should be very well aware of your strengths and your achievements, whichever whatever they are. Right. So this is the uh, PI process. Any questions so far on this? Cool. Let's look at now how am I judged, right? So we talked at the beginning. You all contributed towards that answer that इसमें कैसे आपको जज किया जाएगा. तो knowledge, right? Knowledge is a very important part, and not just breadth and also depth, right? Now comes a very important thing here, which is your academics, right? This is obviously a pain point for many of us, because the moment we pass out of college, we thought that we have kind of kissed these books goodbye, and now at least we won't have to have a look at them. ऐसा हमने सोचा होगा. And then you started your work, job. Some people have been working for 3 years, तो they are very peeved कि यार हमसे क्यों ये academic के question पूछते हैं, right? There are people who work for 3 years, still they were asked questions from their acads final year and all that. तो how do you first of all handle that, right? आज इतने सारे सब्जेक्ट होते हैं, right? Over a period of let's say 4 years if you spend in engineering, तो ऑलमोस्ट 30 40 50 सब्जेक्ट पढ़े होंगे आपने. दूसरी भी जो स्ट्रीम्स होती है उसमें भी इतने इतने सब्जेक्ट पढ़ते हैं. तो लोगों का क्वेश्चन है कि क्या सारे के सारे पढ़ ले फिर हम, मतलब हाउ कैन वन एक्सपेक्ट अस टू नो एवरीथिंग अबाउट आवर अंडर ग्रेड डिग्री? इस पे क्या व्यूज है आपका? एनीवन हैज एनी व्यूज ऑन दिस? क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए? ऑब्वियसली वी विल टॉक मोर एज वी गो अलोंग, बट just as a pointer, because this is something which you need to start working from right away. आपको अभी से थोड़ा सा अपना इसमें घुसना चाहिए. तो क्या उसके लिए तोड़ हो सकता है? Anyone has thought about it? What could be the hack here? No idea? Anyone? Whatever comes to your mind. See, the interaction is very important here. Obviously, this is the first session, but as we go along, and you'll need to participate in group discussions, in extempores, and in a lot of speaking exercises, right? So you'll have to be vocal about things. My question was that how do you prepare for the academics part of your interview, right? Because interview में academics भी पूछते हैं. Yes, Ashish.
Sir, I think since it's obviously like not possible to go in depths of each and every part of our academics, what we could do is at least select 2 to 3 subjects which we can bet on that yes, if you would like to ask, we can answer. We are confident on these questions, these particular 2 to 3 subjects. I think
Right.
that would in a way help.
Right. Okay. Fine. So I'll talk about the pros and cons of this approach also, right? Because everything that we propose will have some pros and will have some cons. So we will have to see how do we uh, tide over those cons, right? Yes, Ojaswini.
Sir, for example, can speak for my academics. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. In one interview, and this also acts as an knowledge base. In one interview, I was asked about id, ego, and super ego, the concept of them, to explain them and define.
Right.
So I after that interview, I realized anything from my academic which is in common knowledge used by multiple people, like the concept of ego is a common concept.
Right.
So
It
those
means somebody
topics
need
I
not
need
be
to
a
define.
specialist in psychology to know that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And if also it also depends on what courses I have applied to the college. For example, if I have applied for marketing, they might ask me questions I should be prepared on the psychological aspect of marketing. So I
Right,
should be prepared about that.
right. So basically, it's like one is preparing more of those generic things which anybody would be aware of, because professor may not be from psychology background, he could be from some other background. So at least you should be able to satisfy the person, right? Good point. Yes, Tanisha.
So I guess that like last time there were some colleges who were offering the guides like on which they were written that there were certain topics about marketing, operations, HR, so we could prepare from that also because I did that and it helped me a lot.
No, certain colleges. You mean to say
Yeah,
the
certain
study
colleges
kits, the
provide us.
study
Yeah,
kits.
they they provide the study kits
No,
like
no. Okay.
there we have the questions regarding that.
Right. No, see, so now this is a different issue which you have touched upon. Study kits is something which helps you prepare for all the areas of management. Like I mentioned, marketing, HR, finance, economics. So most of these
Yeah.
colleges, right, even top colleges, they've got this study kits, right? So which they give to the students, and then they prepare from that. That is very helpful. But let's say, what if somebody is from somebody is an electrical engineer, right? Or somebody is a eco honors graduate. तो वो क्या करेगा? उसके यस इकोनॉमिक्स उसमें है कवर्ड, एग्रीड टू सम एक्सटेंट, यस, बट नॉट टू दैट डेप्थ. या फिर सपोज करो कोई somebody is from a physics background और मैथमेटिक्स बैकग्राउंड, तो उसमें फिर उसको थोड़ा सा इसमें चैलेंज हो जाएगा ये वाले अप्रोच में. जो लोग कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड से हैं उनको ये चल जाएगा, राइट. इकोनॉमिक्स वालों को भी थोड़ा बहुत चल जाएगा, लेकिन बाकी के लोगों का क्या होगा? सो यस, कुशागर.
Hello, sir, am I audible?
यस, यस, यस.
Yeah, sir. So, matlab, my approach is ki what we can do is we can make a list of all the subjects like in our undergrad, what were the main subjects, and then probably we can do something like chat GPT over the subjects and keep a list of what all was there main in the subjects and all like what all potential things can be asked, and then we can maybe prepare from
Right,
there.
right. Right. So that's a smart approach, wherein, see, you can use the previous year's transcripts, right? So a lot of people who have been interviewed earlier, they have shared their transcripts on various domains, right? So many of them I will also have, which I will try to circulate as we go along. So another way is what like Kushagra mentioned, that you can kind of, go to a good one of these AI tools and uh, ask it that, okay, what are some of the most commonly expected questions from this stream in an MBA interview, right? And then it'll give you a list of those. So that could be a preparatory thing, right? I'm not saying that that's an exhaustive thing, but that could be a good indicative thing, right? Another approach, like what Ashish mentioned, we will discuss that. Let me hear from Kaushal also. Yes, Kaushal.
Yeah. Sir, I feel we need to look at how our work is tied to our acads, what subjects or what concepts did we use uh, or apply in our day-to-day work. Maybe we can drive the interview in that direction and focus on two, three key subjects as mentioned
Okay.
and see how we
Right.
have applied those. Yeah.
Right. So that's also a good point here, that whatever, let's say, your work ex is, how does it relate to your educational background, and what all are some of the concepts or some of the things that you learned apply to whatever work you're doing. So that's one way to look at it, and then kind of maybe take two or three where you can get deeper. Now, see, again, like Ashish also mentioned, two or three subjects. उसका जो फ्लिप साइड है वो ये होता है कि कई बार सपोज दो तीन सब्जेक्ट आपने बोल दिया कि अच्छा, वो खुद ही बोलेगा, अच्छा टेल मी विच सब्जेक्ट्स आर यू कंफर्टेबल विद. अब इसके भी दो पार्ट होते हैं, बिकॉज देयर आर सम पीपल हु डिलिबरेटली वांट टू, लेट्स से, अनॉय यू. दे विल से कि अच्छा, आपके फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट कौन से हैं, हम उसी में से अच्छा, फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट कौन से हैं, विच सब्जेक्ट्स यू आर मोस्ट कंफर्टेबल, यू से ए एंड बी. अच्छा, तो आप उसमें से तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं पूछेंगे फिर, right? So they will kind of, with that devious smile on their face, they will tell you this, कि फिर तो उसमें से बिल्कुल ही नहीं पूछेंगे, right? So and then your heart starts sinking कि अब क्या करेगा ये, पता नहीं. तो ये भी सब इनकी टेक्निक्स होती हैं just to put you under strain or pressure. But ठीक है, maybe इट कुड बी अ मिक्स ऑफ लाइक 2-3 आपने तैयार कर लिए, बाकी क्या आपने क्वेश्चंस तैयार कर लिए काफी सारे, जैसे मैंने कहा आपको आई ऑल्सो हैव अ लिस्ट ऑफ सम कॉमनली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आई विल सर्कुलेट। तो उतना भी हम कर लेंगे अगर, तो ठीक है, इट्स नॉट अ बैड स्टार्ट, राइट, इट्स अ गुड स्टार्ट दैट वे। तो सी बट व्हाट इज रीजनिंग, राइट, कुछ लोग सोचते हैं कि यार ये क्या मतलब है, तो फालतू के क्वेश्चन, एकेडमिक्स का क्या मतलब है, हाउ विल इट हेल्प? तो इसका आंसर सिंपल ये है कि देखो, किसी भी टॉप कॉलेज में जो करिकुलम है वो आसान नहीं है, राइट, इट्स नॉट इजी टू kind of be among those creme de la creme or top people, and those so it's, you need to have that academic bent of mind to handle that pressure of those studies in those terms that you are there at a top IIM. So through this they want to test how rigorously you can handle it, right? Because there are people who will crumble. तो ऐसे लोग उनको नहीं चाहिए कि जो वहाँ के जो इंटेंस करिकुलम है उससे वो घबरा जाए, राइट? तो इसलिए वो यहीं से शॉर्टलिस्ट कर लेते हैं। सो दैट इज द रीजनिंग विच इज देयर। नॉट ऑल कॉलेज डू दैट, किसी किसी में ऑब्वियसली अगेन इट डिपेंड्स कितनी देर आप उनके साथ बैठे हो, उनको कितना पता है, राइट? तो ऑब्वियसली यू दे ऑल्सो शुड नो। तो इसलिए बट तैयारी तो करके जाना है, राइट? सो नॉलेज ब्रेड्थ एंड डेप्थ, theoretical versus application oriented, linked to current awareness, right? So everything uh, that you have read, uh, and how does it relate to, let's say, the current situation, right? Whether economic or whether geopolitical or whatever it is. Ability to apply in new situations, right? Your favorite subjects, work areas, strong fundamentals. All of these things, knowledge they are testing. How do you uh, kind of so it needs a lot of breadth, right? Which is why what makes a manager different from, let's say, somebody who's just a techie, right? A techie will have depth of knowledge in his or her own area, right? But techie will not have that kind of breadth which is needed to become a great manager, right? Um, Next is communication skills, right? So how effective and efficient you are, how in the minimum possible words you can convey maximum. There are people who will keep rambling, okay, in any answer, going on and on without knowing when to stop. So obviously, first of all, they don't have patience. कई बार आप देखेंगे कि जो आंसर आपको आते हैं उसमें आपको बहुत जल्दी कट शॉर्ट कर देता है, and he moves to the next question. And this is the same. This is what happens, and then you come out feeling कि यार हमको जो जो पता था वो तो उसने सुना ही नहीं ढंग से, और अपने अपने क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, और जो जो मेरे को नहीं आते वो ही वो पूछ रहा था। तो ये क्यों होता है? क्योंकि सी अगेन दे आर स्ट्रैप्ड फॉर टाइम, देयर आर सो मेनी कैंडिडेट्स टू इंटरव्यू। आपको अपनी बात बहुत क्विकली बोलनी है, यू डोंट हैव द लग्जरी ऑफ बीटिंग अराउंड द बुश। तो आपको बहुत सीधे पॉइंट पे आना है, राइट? सो विच इज वाई योर कम्युनिकेशन हैज टू बी वेरी इफेक्टिव एंड एफिशिएंट। यू कांट बी बिल्डिंग अ बैकग्राउंड फॉर 5 minutes 10 minutes ऑन एनीथिंग एंड देन कमिंग टू द पॉइंट। इतना टाइम तो उसके पास में होगा ही नहीं, राइट? तो यू हैव टू लर्न हाउ टू काइंड ऑफ कम्युनिकेट इन द minimum possible words and get the maximum impact, right? Then your verbal and non-verbal, right? आपको इसमें दोनों चीजें देखनी है, because body language is also very important, right? How so not just verbal and non, how you are. So some people have the habit of gesturing very aggressively, वो सब नहीं करना है. Some people have the habit of kind of shaking their legs और बहुत जोर जोर से हिलाने लगते हैं, नर्वस हो जाते हैं. तो avoiding eye contact, मेंटेनिंग, आई मीन शक्ल पे एकदम दुनिया का दुख नजर आने लगता है, एकदम से सैड और ग्लूमी हो जाते हैं. तो ये सब चीजें नेचुरल है. सी आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि ये एकदम से आपका एलिमिनेट हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा. एक सभी का फेस भी होता है. देयर आर सम पीपल हु गॉट अ स्माइलिंग pleasing, I mean pleasant face, right? Their face doesn't show that they are carrying a lot of strain inside. Naturally उनका ऐसा रहता है. कुछ लोगों को ऐसा होता है जो हर वक्त ऐसा लगता है कि दे आर कैरिंग द वेट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड ऑन देयर शोल्डर्स, राइट? तो आपको ऐसा नहीं कम अक्रॉस करना है, राइट? ओके, क्वेश्चन आया, इनिशियल पार्ट मिस हो गया, हाउ कैन आई एक्सेस द रिकॉर्डिंग? यू विल बी given the recording, so you don't have to worry, right? I'll share it. So if you've come through Saksham's group, then I'll share it with Saksham. I can share it with you. And if you're a part of my group, then in any case, I will, of course, you are not a part of my group, but still. So I'll share this recording, right? So आपको सबको जो लोग बाद में भी आए हैं उनको मिल जाएगी. No need to worry about that. Okay. verbal and non-verbal, right? So you need to have a good body language also, right? Then speaking and listening, this is very important. Patience खत्म होती जा रही है हम लोगों में, right? We listen to respond, right? We don't listen to understand. That is the main problem across all fronts, right? Whether it is our personal life or whatever it is, professional life. So you should be more listening, right? I mean, of course, इंटरव्यू में तो आपको ज्यादा बोलना है, लेकिन क्वेश्चन बहुत केयरफुली सुनना है और यू डोंट हैव टू जंप टू अ कंक्लूजन, टेक योर टाइम and respond. But listening is extremely important here. Goal clarity and consistency. Why MBA सबसे बड़ा इसमें क्वेश्चन रहेगा जिसको हम आंसर करेंगे, राइट? Why MBA? Tell me about yourself. ये सारे क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं जो कि हमें एड्रेस करने हैं, राइट? पास्ट, प्रेजेंट एंड फ्यूचर आपका, you have to link whatever you have done in the past to what you are doing in the present, and how do you think that MBA will help you? What are your goals, right? So ये सब चीजें लिंक करनी पड़ेंगी आपको. So it's like MBA is a bridge, right? Where you are on one side of the bridge and you feel that you have to go to the other side, and MBA is the thing that will take you there, right? Maybe there are some other ways to reach there, but they may be maybe they're not the most efficient way or the best way to reach where you want to go, right? This is how you have to work your story. You may have done your bachelor's in English literature, no problem. You may be a doctor, no problem. You may be a lawyer, no problem. All these people, doctors, lawyers, English literature graduates, everybody has got a place in an MBA institute, right? Because as I mentioned, diversity is the name of the game. An MBA, an MBA education is not just the books or those class-based discussion, the class-based things. It is the interaction between the various students, right? That adds a great amount of value to any MBA course. So they need a diverse batch wherein, because if everybody is the same, then what value they will add to each other, right? So that's the point. So you should be, whatever past you had, whatever degree you had, only thing is you have to be able to link it up. That okay, you did your let's say MBBS, you worked in medical field, but now why do you want to do this MBA, right? Is it just that you are looking for an escape? Many people look for an escape. अब देखो रियल रीजन कुछ भी हो, बताना क्या है आपको बहुत सोचना है, right? Maybe you are getting stuck in your current job, right? You feel that there is no progress, you won't reach anywhere in the next so many years, so you have to do an MBA to kind of get out of this rut. ठीक है, लेकिन आपको उसको प्रॉपर्ली पैकेज इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट हियर, because many times obviously substance has to be there in the product also, but packaging is very important. Yes, Kushal.
सर जैसे अगर किसी का रीजन है कि मतलब किसी को कोडिंग में इंटरेस्ट नहीं आ रहा है इसलिए एमबीए की तरफ स्विच करना है, तो ऐसा है क्या बोलना चाहिए या फिर
नहीं, उसको ये देखो, ये गलत तरीका है बोलने का कि मेरे को कोडिंग में इंटरेस्ट नहीं आ रहा इसलिए मैं वहां जा रहा हूँ. इसको आपको किस तरीके से प्रेजेंट करना है? इसको आपको प्रेजेंट करना है कि देखिए कोडिंग तो मैं कर ली, मैंने जितनी मतलब करनी है, और कोडिंग करके आई डोंट थिंक आई विल बी एबल टू अचीव माय गोल्स इन लाइफ. तो भाई आपके गोल्स क्या है? तो भाई हमें तो अपनी खुद की कंपनी बनानी है, सपोज, राइट? आई वांट टू लॉन्च माय ओन प्रोडक्ट. नाउ इफ आई कंटिन्यू कोडिंग हियर देन आई वोंट बी एबल टू, राइट? आई नीड टू हैव दो स्किल्स जो कि बिजनेस रिलेटेड स्किल्स हैं, बिजनेस रिलेटेड नॉलेज है, नेटवर्किंग है, जो मुझे चाहिए, जो मुझे अपने गोल तक ले जाए, वो मुझे यहाँ पे नहीं मिलेगी. तो आपने ये नहीं बोला है कि मेरे को इंटरेस्ट नहीं है कोडिंग में, हम ये नहीं बोलना है, राइट? यू डोंट हैव टू प्रेजेंट एनीथिंग एज नेगेटिव. You have to present it as a situation where from where you don't see that you will be able to achieve your goals, okay? Within, let's say, whatever period of time you have decided, right? In 5 years or 10 years you want to be there. तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि और किसी रास्ते में पहुंच पाऊंगा. मुझे लगता है यही वो एक तरीका है. और क्यों आपको ऐसा लगता है, फिर वो आपको वो समझाना है, राइट? तो आपको ये नहीं कहना है कि हमें ये करके बोर हो गए, इसमें कोई मजा नहीं है. तो ये सब बातें नहीं, नेगेटिव तरीके से प्रोजेक्ट नहीं करना है, राइट? ओके. सो गोल्स पास्ट प्रेजेंट फ्यूचर, बैकअप प्लान्स, सपोज आपको नहीं लेते हैं फिर क्या करोगे आप, राइट? सपोज यू डोंट लाइक दिस, तो यू आर सेइंग दैट आपको ये अच्छा नहीं लगता, आपको एमबीए भी अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, फिर क्या करोगे? मे बी यू गॉट अ रोजी आइडिया अबाउट व्हाट एमबीए इज, व्हाट यू विल डू। तो इस तरह के क्वेश्चन भी बन सकते हैं, राइट? अभी आपको नहीं लेंगे तो क्या करोगे? वुड यू कम अगेन नेक्स्ट ईयर? फिर आपको नहीं लिया तो क्या करोगे? तो ऐसे यू शुड हैव काइंड ऑफ बैकअप प्लान्स आल्सो, व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, which should come out in whatever when you are saying ये हमने, सपोज आपने यू टुक अ गैप एंड दे से दैट ये आपने गैप लिया, इतनी बड़ी रिस्क ले लिया आपने, अब हमने आपको नहीं लिया अगर, तो फिर क्या करोगे आप, राइट? सो यू शुड ऑलवेज हैव अ बैकअप, यू कैन से दैट फाइन हमने गैप लिया था, कैट तक कैट हो गई है एंड आई एम ऑन माय जॉब सर्च, आई एज अ बैकअप, फाइन मेरा ये परसेंटाइल है, आई एम होपफुल दैट आई विल गेट सम गुड कॉल्स एंड आई विल बी एबल टू कन्वर्ट दोस। However, in case I'm not able to, I'll join a company. I've already applied to XYZ. एक दो fictitious भी कुछ भी रख सकते हो अपने पास में कि यहाँ से मेरे को एडवांस स्टेजेस ऑफ डिस्कशन चल रहे हैं एंड आई माइट बी एबल टू क्लोज दैट। तो आपसे वो कुछ मांगेगा नहीं डॉक्यूमेंट, उसमें आप ना बता सकते हो कि इस तरह की कंपनी में हम देख रहे हैं और ऑलरेडी उन शॉर्टलिस्ट हो गए हैं और आगे बात चल रही है। तो दैट शोज दैट ओके यू गॉट अ बैकअप प्लान, राइट? तो इस तरीके से सी इट इज लाइक अ चेस गेम। चेस में आप कोई भी मूव अगर चलते हो तो उसके दो आगे की मूव सोच के चलते हो, ऐसा नहीं सोच के चलते हो कि बस ये चल दी और इधर उधर देखा नहीं आपने कि उसके बाकी के पीसेस कहाँ रखे हुए हैं एंड यू मूव योर पीस। सी दैट इज लाइक अ कमिटिंग हाराकीरी और सुसाइड। तो आपको जो भी आप आंसर दे रहे हो उसमें आप सोच के चलो कि आपसे दो स्टेज आगे तक और वो क्या दो तीन लेवल तक पूछ सकता है, एंड देन यू शुड बी प्रिपेयर्ड विद दोस। पूछे ना पूछे दैट्स अ डिफरेंट इशू। So any question that you prepare, you should be looking at 2 3 steps ahead of it, right? That's how you prepare for your answers. Okay, then comes uh, basic personality, right? आपके ambition, value system, beliefs, behavior, personal disposition, interpersonal team skills, openness to ideas. तो इसमें आपको सिचुएशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन दे देते हैं वो, राइट? दैट सपोज यू आर अ टीम लीड हियर एंड दीज आर द कंस्ट्रेंट्स एंड दिस इज द सिचुएशन, हाउ विल यू एक्ट? या सपोज कोई और सिचुएशन आपकी करंट एग्जिस्टिंग जॉब में ऐसी हो गई तो आप क्या करोगे? तो ऐसे अलग अलग टाइप की सिचुएशन बना के आपको देखते हैं, योर वैल्यूज, योर बिलीव्स, बिहेवियर, पर्सनल डिस्पोजिशन क्या है, एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स, राइट? देन दे विल टेस्ट योर एनालिटिकल स्किल्स, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग, राइट? आपको कोई पजल टाइप दे सकते हैं वहां पे, और दे कुड गिव अ क्वांट क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो, right? Some people have been given, generally I've seen that ऐसे कोई difficult quant question नहीं होते हैं वो। अगर आपकी maths reasonable है, right? You've been able to score 95 to 99%, and then you should be able to do those questions. They are not very complicated questions. Uh, what if scenarios और managing ambiguity, तो इस तरह से आपको कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं। How I judge, there is no one particular kind of person, exactly like I said, that उनको कोई मोल्ड नहीं है कि ये आदमी इस तरीके, maybe you can create an impression where they feel that no, this person is really going to add value. एक क्वेश्चन ये भी होता है that how do you add value to the cohort or to your batch? आप कैसे, आपको क्यों लिया जाए? Why should we select you? Right? That's a very common question. इसके भी आंसर थोड़े हमें ध्यान से सोच के डालने पड़ेंगे, कि आपके अंदर, तो यू नीड टू फिगर आउट व्हाट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज यूनिक अबाउट यू, इट डिफरेंशिएट्स यू फ्रॉम द अदर्स। इट होता है, सभी के पास कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा होता है। ओनली थिंग इज वी आर focused only on some of the most obvious things, which is where we miss some things which we could have, but we have not even thought about that. तो आपको इसलिए इंट्रोस्पेक्शन करना बहुत जरूरी है। यू हैव टू dig out those things. Nobody gets rejected except in exceptional situations on the basis of interview alone. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको खाली इंटरव्यू के बेसिस पे, बहुत सारी अगेन इंटरव्यू। सो लेट्स से इन द फाइनल एनालिसिस, लेट्स से अगर आप अहमदाबाद की बात करो तो पीआई के 40% वेटेज होता है, फिर कैट का स्कोर का वेटेज होता है, वैट का स्कोर का वेटेज होता है, 10th 12th का भी वेटेज होता है। तो ऐसे पूरी इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस में भी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल शॉर्टलिस्टिंग जब होती है तो भी they have got a criteria which is assigned or proportion assigned to different criteria here, right? तो उसी तरह से जब वर्क एक्स का भी होता है उसमें, तो जेंडर डाइवर्सिटी का भी होता है, एकेडमिक डाइवर्सिटी भी होते हैं, तो ऐसे सारे फैक्टर्स हैं जिसके बेसिस पे आपका कॉम्पोजिट स्कोर फिर बनता है, राइट? तो I guess with this, I would want to kind of wrap up and tell you or suggest to you that you should start working on these questions. I'll share maybe some of the forms. अभी क्या होगा कि फॉर्म्स आने शुरू हो जाएंगे। सबसे पहले कोही कोड का फॉर्म आएगा। वो कोही कोड वाले क्या करेंगे, आपको उनके 2-3 प्रोग्राम दूसरे भी हैं, उसमें वो हर एक को शॉर्टलिस्ट कर लेते हैं। 80% वाले परसेंटाइल वालों को भी शॉर्टलिस्ट कर लेते हैं, चाहे 85 कट ऑफ है तो सभी को भेज देते हैं वो एक कॉल। उनका एक लिबरल स्टडीज करके एक प्रोग्राम है, और एक फाइनेंस का भी एक अलग से है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम देयर फ्लैगशिप पीईडीएम, राइट? तो उसमें बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस होते हैं जो आपको भर के आंसर भेजने हैं। तो ये सब I'll share some of those questions with you. So you should start preparing, thinking about those. This can be done very well along with your preparation for that and whatever else you're doing. Don't wait for this maybe percentile to come out or that to get over before you start applying your mind to it. ऐसा नहीं है, बैठे हुए हो कहीं, start thinking about it, jot down। एक important चीज है कि जो भी चीज आपको दिमाग में आए वो नोट कर लो, because many times we get some insights. Even I am guilty of that, and if I haven't noted it anywhere, then I tend to forget it. So सभी के साथ होता है ऐसा। तो कोई भी ऐसा एक रेवोल्यूशनरी कुछ आइडिया आ जाए या कुछ भी चीज स्ट्राइक हो आपको, मोमेंट्स ऑफ एपिफेनी कहते हैं उसको आपको नोट करके रखना चाहिए, राइट? So start working on that. Start reading, following current affairs, important stories which I'll start sharing. Topics to be read मैं बता भेजता हूँ आपको, बट वो topics to be read में कई चीजें थोड़ी सी बेकार भी होती हैं, बट स्टिल कुछ कुछ अच्छा होता है, तो 3-4-5 आर्टिकल उसमें से पढ़ सकते हो। Main business news, market, start getting interested in all of these. There is one sheet which I had circulated on LinkedIn. I'll share that with you all if you've not seen. There are various economic indicators, right? वो सब indicators हमें hands on होना पड़ेगा, right? गोल्ड की क्या प्राइस चल रही है, सिल्वर की क्या प्राइस चल रही है, यूएसडी आईएनआर क्या चल रहा है, क्रूड ऑयल क्या चल रहा है, अभी मार्केट्स में क्या है, निफ्टी 50 आज कितने पे बंद हुआ, अमेरिका के इंडेक्स है, डाउ जोन्स, S&P 500 और नैस्डैक, व्हाट आर द लेवल्स एट विच दे आर रूलिंग। We should know the GDP, right? India की क्या GDP है, what is the growth rate, what is the latest figures. We should know about the inflation, we should know about the repo rates, right? So there are so many economic indicators which we should be um, aware of, not just the numbers, but we should be knowing the stories behind them, right? तो धीरे धीरे ओरिएंटेशन बनाना शुरू करो इफ यू आर नॉट येट ओरिएंटेड टुवर्ड दीज। ओके, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, एकदम ओवरनाइट नहीं होता है। देयर मेनी स्टूडेंट्स हूम आई फाइंड दे विल से कि हम तो मार्केट में स्टॉक में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते, कुछ नहीं करते, तो फिर हमें कैसे? तो ऐसा नहीं है, नहीं करते, दैट्स ओके, दैट डजंट एब्सॉल्व यू फ्रॉम नोइंग अबाउट इट, राइट? उससे आपको ऐसा नहीं है कि फिर आपसे पूछेंगे नहीं वो, because these are some basic things about I mean you are doing a business management, right? You are not getting into any other course, right? So you should be aware about the business, economics, finance. वो तो बेसिकली लाइफ ब्लड है। तो इन सब चीजों की तरफ देखना शुरू कर दो, राइट? आई विल शेयर सम स्टडी किट्स ऑल्सो विथ यू, जो जैसे तनीषा ने मेंशन किया था, तो उसमें से भी आपको आइडिया मिलेगा डिफरेंट डोमेन्स ऑफ मैनेजमेंट। उसमें भी टिपिकली जो एक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं उसकी लिस्ट है, उसमें एक आई शेयर द लिस्ट आल्सो विद यू, कि इन क्वेश्चंस के ऊपर थोड़ा सोचना शुरू कर दो, राइट? सो दीज आर थिंग्स विच यू कैन स्टार्ट डूइंग फ्रॉम राइट अवे। ओके, वी विल हैव अभी गोइंग फॉरवर्ड 3 classes a week. I'll convey the days, maybe it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday करेंगे यही टाइम पे, एंड वील कवर डिफरेंट एरियाज। एक में अभी जैसे आज हमने ये किया, देन वी विल डू जीडी का करेंगे, एक दिन करंट अफेयर्स करेंगे, अभी ऐसे चलता रहेगा। सो दैट्स द होल थिंग। यस ओजस्विनी।
So, one question about when the application asks us to write about our strengths, or we are preparing to answer the questions on our strength and weaknesses. Uh, Besides academic and achievement strengths, how can we portray our like other skills which are not metric of any? There is no metric to judge them, and
तो
without.
ऐसा कौन सा लगता है आपको? सी, वन इज योर अचीवमेंट इज नॉट योर स्ट्रेंथ, राइट? योर स्ट्रेंथ हेल्प्स यू अचीव, अंडरटेक दोज अचीवमेंट्स। let's say, for a very simple example, you have some leadership traits, right? You think that you are a good leader. That's your strength, right? So that will then manifest itself in some of your achievements. कि आपने let's say कहीं पे कोई एक ऐसा कुछ जीता टीम, let's say some case competition where you led a team, you won. So there your leadership strengths shown, right? Suppose you have a strength that you go beyond your normal duty, right? You take a lot of initiatives. ऐसी आप strength बता रहे हो कि I take a lot of initiatives, right? तो वो आपकी strength है, तो आप कहीं ना कहीं demonstrate होगी. तो आप इसमें कोई ऐसा there is no restriction that X or Y or Z only is your could be your strength. आपके पास 10 भी हो सकती हैं. तो आपको डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करने के लिए पूछेंगे, फिर खाली बोलने से नहीं चलेगा कि मैं बोलूं कि मेरे अंदर लीडरशिप ट्रेट है भाई, तो है तो बताओ कैसे आपको पता है कि है, क्या कर दिया आपने, है ना? तो अब आप बोलोगे कि मुझे क्लास चौथी में मॉनिटर बना दिया गया था, तो इसका मतलब है मेरे अंदर लीडरशिप ट्रेट. आई मीन आई एम जस्ट बीइंग अ लिटिल फनी हियर, इवन इफ यू.
यस सर. सर इसीलिए तो जब व्हेन राइटिंग दीज आंसर्स डाउन इसके बारे में कुछ पॉइंटर्स लिखते हैं तो मेरे दिमाग में ऐसा कुछ आता ही नहीं स्ट्रेंथ
कोई बात देखो,
उस
वो
पे
सी
लाइक.
दैट इज व्हाट इज वन ऑफ द फीचर्स ऑफ दिस program, right? That I will help you, even if you don't cannot think of things, then I'll prod you, right? I'll kind of give you some options to see कि generally ये होते हैं, क्या आपको लगता है आपकी लाइफ में भी ऐसे थे. तो वो हमारे वन टू वन डिस्कशंस में आएंगे. तो लाइक वन टू वन डिस्कशन इज अ बिग पार्ट ऑफ दिस प्रोग्राम, राइट? Where we can create your story. So we will
ओके
address all of
सर.
those things, right? You don't have to worry about that.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
All right. Okay. So any further questions from anyone here? Please feel free to ask. Those who wish to, okay, so I will, जो सक्षम के ग्रुप से हैं, तो I mean, you can show your intent about joining to him, or you can take my number here. I'll give you my number. You can send me a WhatsApp if you are keen. This is the number, right? So you can share your, I mean, you can send me a WhatsApp message if you want to join, you want to talk, know more, or whatever it is, right? So, so let's take it forward, right? So we will wind up the session. Any other, whatever we have, you have any questions, doubts, thoughts, you can always reach out to me on this number. We'll be happy to address, right? So I hope the session was useful to you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you all again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.